Oh.
With the first pick,
Welcome into the Fantasy Rant podcast presented by Stadium Rant. Check out Stadium Rant on YouTube and all social media platforms for tons of great content. I am your host, Dan Baker, here with the rest of the Fantasy Rant crew, Evan Gooding, Mason Beck, and Lee Cook. Today, we're going to be talking about our biggest takeaways from the NFL Combine. We're going to cover the latest NFL news, and we will talk some NFL free agency, giving you guys some landing spots for the top guys. We already did quarterback, but we're going to hit the rest of them, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, giving you all of the landing spots here. And we're going to kick it off, though, with the hottest topic, the Combine. Everyone's watching. Everyone's, may I say, over weighing these combines, these 40 times into their opinion. Let's see where everyone falls, though. First off, we're going to start with the biggest riser. I'm going to kick it off to Evan here. Who do you have as your biggest riser from the NFL Combine?
Honestly, I feel like there's so many to pick from. Like, there were a lot of risers in this year's Combine, and specifically within the wide receiver room. You know, I expected a lot of those guys to kind of not meet the expectations we put on them, but if anything, they're filling the big shoes that they needed to fill, and I'm poking through the shoes, to be honest. But my biggest riser, all in all, from like a draft perspective, has got to be J.J. McCarthy right now. I used to see him going in mocks, sometimes even in the third round, late second. Now I'm seeing him only in the first round, late back end of the first, which is just it's wild for me to see that much of an increase. But from a wide receiver standpoint, I'm kind of in a toss up. Obviously, Xavier Worthy. We're probably gonna talk about him a lot on this episode, so won't touch on it too much here. But Adonai Mitchell, both of those receivers from Texas looked unbelievable. Both of them had stellar performances. And then from an RB perspective, Trey Benson. He's a big riser. I am on the Trey Benson ship now.
Let's go. You're on the Trey train.
Yeah, I am. What about you over there, Mason?
Can we trademark something that's not even like our name?
The Trey train. The Trey
trademark. The Trey trademark. All right, Mason, let's kick it over to you. Who you got for your biggest riser?
I mean, I'm going to take the obvious and just go ahead, Xavier Worthy. When you have someone breaking the combine record, that's something you just can't ignore. He moved up, honestly, a spot or two in my rookie draft, probably. And all I can see from that is, and it's scaring me, is him going to the Chiefs, just him and Mahomes having that speed. And it's realistic that, like, he'd end up in that spot. And, I mean, that was just my main perception of it is his speed was just, I mean, fastest man to ever run the 40 at the combine. It's something you can't ignore.
It is impressive, and like you could see it. He was a track athlete growing up, and you could see it in his form. Obviously, it's the underwear Olympics, so take it for what it is. But it does show in his tape. He moves quick, and if he ends up landing on a team that can take advantage of that speed, it's going to go a long way. All right, Lee, who do you got for your biggest riser?
So just real quick, just a frustration. Why the heck do these guys start in a 3-point, 4-point stance like they're running track when they will never do that on the football field? If you're a wide receiver, why are you not starting from a wide receiver stance? It makes sense. You need shoulder pads and a helmet on as well, but the starting point to me, I know it was impressive, and we'll talk about it more as we get into it, but it doesn't make sense to me.
It'd be interesting. Like, let's say you start them off behind the line. They have to do like a little release, and then you start it off after they pass a certain marker. That'd be fun.
Just how they line up on the line normally,
Exactly. That's 100%. Like just how they would line up when they're actually playing football. But I digress. Jalen Wright is easily the biggest riser for me.
Nice.
5'10", 210, a 4.38. He just checks the boxes, man, for a prototypical NFL running back. I know, an episode or two ago we mentioned him briefly, but we didn't get too deep into him. But I feel like he's solidified himself as a day 2 pick. and he's going to be shooting up draft boards as far as your rookie drafts as well. Also had the second, I believe it was the second longest broad jump for a running back ever. It was like 11 foot 2 inches or something.
Yep, 11 foot 2 inches, number one at this combine, and number two overall.
So yeah, just super impressed. That's a guy who's definitely got his name out there in a lot of bars.
100%. Since you already touched on Jalen Wright, that was the number two guy that I had. And this is subjective. So my biggest riser is, and I think you guys are gonna like this, Rome Odunze. I was low on him to start off the offseason. I've been growing on him ever since. A big part of my problem was I felt like people were talking about him as this crazy athlete, and I just didn't see it on the tape. As great as he is at contested catch, as big as he is, as solid of a route runner as he is, I just didn't see the athleticism to get it done at the next level. With this combine, you can start to see the raw numbers of that athleticism people are talking about. 4.45 40 time. That was 17th overall amongst the wide receivers, but this was a loaded wide receiver class, especially in the speed department. Fourth in 10-yard split. So that gives him a much higher acceleration in comparison to straight line speed. He had a 3-cone at 6.88, which was fourth. And then the 20-yard shuttle at 4.03 seconds, that is second amongst all of the wide receivers. Also, amongst these wide receivers that we're talking about, there was 30 people who ran the 40-yard dash. So we ended up kind of middle of the pack there. But the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle, top 10th percentile in both of them. That's huge. That's what I wanted to see out of a guy like Odunze at the combine. And one of the reasons why, obviously Xavier Worthy, buzz of the NFL right now. He's insanely fast. However, I want more than just the combine numbers. I need some tape to back that up. Dunze had the tape. I was just waiting for the athleticism to show. So big ups for Odunze on my board here. I had Jalen Wright second. And then I do think it's close for third between, Lad McConkey. He just looked solid all throughout. Did not have a bad number in any drill. And then Ricky Pearsall.
Ricky Pearsall. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later too.
Nice. I like it. But yeah, the guy just overall solid throughout. It's not shooting up my boards to the point where I'm saying like he's a for sure day 2 pick, but I think he could be a 3rd round, 4th round pick. He had a 4.41 140 time, 42-inch vertical. That was 3rd. Broad jump 8th. He's got the best overall 3-cone. 3rd best 20-yard shuttle, and the 6th best bench press, which not even a ton of wide receivers were participating in. So the guy overall solid athlete. His tape was fun to watch. He's nothing that's, again, going to jump off the page, be like, I need this guy on my team. But I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 by his 2nd year in the NFL. All right. This brings us. Did anybody got any honorable mentions? I had Trey Benson and Brian Thomas Jr. in there.
Ricky was my honorable mention there.
Nice.
My honorable mention, who I'll be discussing more later, is Luke McCaffrey. He placed 3rd in, I believe it was the 20-yard shuttle, and 3rd in the 3-cone drill as well. He also
got the acceleration.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we saw the 40. There's a clipping going around where he did actually beat Christian McCaffrey's 40-yard dash time. So
like hundredths of a second, but yes,
yeah,
he did.
But so it shows McCaffrey's speed works in the NFL, and I think I just think Luke McCaffrey impressed me a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll throw one and not spend a lot of time because, again, I know we're fantasy show. We're talking, skill positions. But Peyton Wilson, linebacker from NC State, 6'3", 238, ran a 4.43, by far the fastest linebacker. If you're in an IDP league or, I think as long as he stays healthy and anybody that's watched him in college, knows he has the instincts to be a great linebacker. If he stays healthy, he's going to be an impact player if whoever gets him.
All right, on to the downside. Who is your biggest baller after the NFL Combine? think we might have a similar name here.
Yeah.
I'm throwing to Evan first.
Oh man. Well, the first one I thought of was Keon Coleman.
That's the one. That's the
pretty,
name.
pretty bad. Pretty bad. The other
Not good.
one I was not expecting you to put on here. Your fantasy sweetheart over here, Troy Franklin, had a terrible combine as well.
I wouldn't call it terrible, but compared to expectations, for sure.
Watch his video of him doing the gauntlet.
I was going
The gauntlet was terrible. It looks like someone threw drunk goggles on him, right?
So what would you say was terrible an accurate word or an inaccurate word to describe that?
I don't think overall his entire combine was terrible. The guy still ran a 4.41. You know, I can pull it up. Keep on talking about him, but I'll pull up the stats here.
I mean, really, that's all I wanted to talk about is just kind of stress on those.
The gauntlet was funny. The gauntlet was funny.
It was serpentine.
Like I could have ran a better gauntlet than Trey Benson there.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. I'm doing two things at once here, but Lee, who do you got for your biggest baller?
Yeah, I would say running back from Notre Dame, Audric Estime.
Yep.
Slowest 40 time for any running back, 4.71. I mean, he's a bigger back, but he's not huge. 5'11", 227. So that's bad. I know this running back class isn't super deep, but he's certainly a day 3 pick at this point, I would say, and kind of struggle to carve out a role. We'll see, but that didn't help his draft stock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, that was my player too. I mean, the 4.71 just being the slowest of RBs, and like you said, he's not the biggest. That's just how many running backs in the NFL do you know that have that speed and that size that actually work out? I honestly can't think of any. He also placed 18 out of 21 on the 10-yard split. So I mean, it wasn't bad. He pretty much did bad all around except on like the broad jump and vertical jump, I believe. But I mean, as a running back, those aren't technically the most valuable position or most valuable skills to have. You're not super fast either. So yeah, I'm definitely staying away from him in rookie drafts.
Yeah, he's ranked as the 8th running back to get off the board right now on sleeper mock drafts, which is just way too high right now.
Oh yeah,
even at 8th, right? Like I mean, that's kind of buried in terms of a
RB
draft class that is not notable. You know, other than Trey Benson and some people are big on Jonathan Brooks. I think definitely we talked about Jalen Wright shooting up boards now. But yeah, just to touch a little bit more on Keon Coleman, 29th out of 30 wide receivers to run the 40-yard dash with a 4.61. I feel like he looked decently fast on the tape. You know, like I think that was part of the what people were attracted to was that and the ridiculous, circus catches that he would make on the highlight tape.
That's really what drew him. I didn't see a lot of speed from him on tape.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, it shows now. You know, like he doesn't have the pads on, he doesn't have the helmet on. Not that it's going to slow you down too much, but a 4.61 for a guy that was anticipated to be a solid athlete is terrible. And on top of that, he was 16th of 31 players in the 10-yard split. He had the 15th highest vertical. That was again out of 31. And then the broad jump, 11th of 31. So just not impressive numbers from Keon Coleman. Definitely shot down the boards here. Overall, I'm going to jump into the most impressive combine. Not a name we talked about yet, but Isaac Guerendo. He's not moving up my board significantly because tape so much more important than combine. People get swayed by numbers from the combine here. I feel like Xavier Worthy is a perfect example. I think Worthy is solid, but I still think that Worthy is much closer to let's say a Jalen Hyatt than a Jalen Watt. Both guys known for speed, and I think he's closer to the Hyatt end of the spectrum. So, yeah, I mean, you can shake your head all you want, but unless Worthy falls on the Dolphins or 49ers or a scheme that really knows how to get the Chiefs, just get open space for their playmakers. I don't see the route running there. I think that he rounds off the top of his routes a little bit too much. I don't think he is going to be a guy that's going to be operating over the middle of the field. And with the cover two, shell scheme that's going on in the NFL right now, I really don't see him making too much of an impact, at least comparison to where people are now valuing him after the combine. But really quick before you guys can touch on that after this, but Isaac Garendo, 6 foot, 221 pounds, ran the fastest 40 time at 4.33. He was first in vertical, second in broad jump, fourth in 3 cone, and fourth in 20-yard shuttle. Dude is an athlete. Again, tape is more important than combine, so don't weigh this too much into your evaluation. But I would say he is now, in my opinion, worth that mid to late third round pick, especially if he lands in a promising landing spot. Evan, I felt like you had something to say. Add on to the Xavier Worthy portion of it, and then you can kick it to the most impressive.
If you see some of these routes, honestly, my jaw dropped when watching some of his route running. His whip route is unbelievable. He's got a crazy whip route. I mean, it's not a full route tree. You're absolutely right. There's definitely some fine tuning he needs to do on a lot of other ones. But dude, he's looking nice. He's looking real nice, and just to be having that burst speed to back him up, it's. I'm excited for him.
Okay. And who did you have for your most impressive combine?
Xavier Worthy.
There you go. All right, Mason, you got it up next.
Xavier Worthy. I mean, he impressed everybody running 4.21. There's no argument against that. I just think
for sure
he's definitely got heads buzzing and people looking out for him. Like he's probably a lot higher on people's boards now just because of that.
Lee?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue with that, but I do have a few counterpoints, but I'll wait until our there's a segment coming up where I'll wait to talk about Xavier Worthy.
I like it. Give us a teaser.
For me, it's between Trey Benson and Jalen Wright. I think they were both, really solidified their spots as top 3 or 4 for maybe Jalen Wright as running backs in the class. And I definitely think they're both day 2 picks now.
Yeah, and that's a perfect transition. I had so for our next portion of this player you are higher than consensus on, it stays Trey Benson for me. I was already comfortable taking him in the late first round. I feel like most people were not taking a running back in the first round at all. I was already comfortable with late first round, and I would move that up in towards like the 108, like that mid late portion there. Still the main top 6 players going off the board. Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb, Malik Neighbors, Jalen Daniels, Drake May, Romo Dunze, and Brock Bowers. Top 6, hands down, no matter what order you want to put them in. But then after that, I think I am open to taking Trey Benson around that 107, 108 range, depending on team need. Evan?
Still a little early for my take. That's a little early for my like. There's too many wide receivers for him to be taken in that spot, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably where I'm drafting him too. I'm really high on Benson, but I don't like talking about it because I don't want people to think that
we got too many people in our leagues watching this, man.
Too fun. What do you think, Lee?
So not anything really to do with the combine. I mean, he didn't do a ton of athletic, but if you watch the show, you know who I'm going to say. Braylon Allen is still my guy. I still think he's a top 3 running back. I'd probably Benson, Allen, Wright are my top 3 running backs at this point. Didn't run the 40. Like I said, he didn't do anything to hurt himself. Didn't do anything to help himself. We'll see what his pro day looks like. But I think he's made for today's NFL. Dude's a tank, and the age is a big thing for me too, with him being so young.
I like that a lot. I mean, I love Braylon Allen a lot. I wish he did something. It would have been nice to see a little bit more at the combine. There was a popular Twitter question circulating. Do you guys think that if Braylon Allen ran the 40, do you think he would have ran over or under a 4.65?
Under. Or 6.5?
I agree. Let's shift it then. Let's say 4.55.
I'd say he potentially sub 4.5, potentially sub 4.5 is where I would put him.
I don't think he hits it like in the 4.4s. I think 4.55 is like right. I think that's the perfect over under for him
That's fair.
personally.
That's a fair medium.
Man, I wish my state had. I can bet on games, but I cannot bet on draft picks. I cannot bet on combine. What are you doing, New York? Get it together.
Yeah, come move to Washington where you can't bet on anything, a single thing.
No,
Yeah.
thank
same in
you.
California.
We've got 1 week. North Carolina's opening up on the 11th.
Oh, let's go, man. Me and you, we're gonna start our own group chat here, man. All right. So player you are lower than consensus on. Since it's a popular topic, I'll kick it off. Xavier Worthy. I am lower than consensus on him because of the ridiculous hype that he is now getting just off of sheer speed. I already kind of touched on why I think that is. But yeah, I mean, speed kills, that's for sure. And he is going to be a problem if he gets a couple of open passes where he can just break it off. However, I don't think that's going to happen too frequently again, unless he. So, like a good comparison. Last year, Devin Achan, I was completely off of. Did not really want too much of him. He landed in Miami. As soon as I saw that draft pick, I was like, a complete 180. I wanted Achan. That's the perfect scheme. Same thing goes for Xavier Worthy. He just needs to land in the exact right scheme with enough, demand at that position, and then I'll change how I think about him. But right now, on the average NFL team, I'm not reaching for him in that mid to late first like some people already starting to. So that's me.
Well,
I
yeah,
want-
if
let me
that's his
follow up.
consensus, then no, I'm out too. But I have his consensus at like the early second. I'm happy.
Well, that's what it was, but now it's jumping up.
God, that's too much. That's no. I guess I'm in the same boat then. That's too high.
Lee, you were shaking your head.
Yeah, I mean that's who I was going to name, and really kind of where I was going. I mean, speed in today's NFL and in any day's NFL is super important. But honestly, that speed is going to be more useful in a game of Madden than I think it will be right away on the NFL field. The guy's 165 pounds, which scares me. But I really want to point to something else because he did break a record, and that's great. The all-time fastest 40s at the combine. I removed the cornerbacks because obviously we're talking offense. So Xavier Worthy is number one. He broke John Ross's record. The next fastest wide receiver was Dante Stallworth. We did have Chris Johnson, who's really the outlier here, but different position, the only running back in the top 12. Dre Archer, Marquise Goodwin, Henry Ruggs III, and Anthony Schwartz. Those are the other wide receivers that are up there as far as the fastest 40 times ever. Dante Stallworth had an okay career. Who knows what would have happened with Henry Ruggs if he, had a better head on his shoulders. But other than that, I mean, bust.
Yeah.
With his size, especially, I'm more impressed with some of the 6'2" guys. The A.D. Mitchell at 6'2", 205, and what he was, I think 4.34,
4.35.
4.35. I'm more impressed with that, honestly, than I think size adjusted. Xavier Worthy was only about the 8th or 9th fastest 40 because he
Ryan Thomas Jr.
Yeah,
Ryan Thomas
6'3".
Yeah.
A legit combine 6'3" and ran a 4.33.
Crazy.
This is why I was higher on him than Odunze for a while, personally.
I didn't see that speed on tape though. I was not expecting that.
Dude, it's hard. So like evaluating wide receivers is so much more difficult than running back, quarterback, wide receiver, because you don't get to see the downfield. And like for college, you have to go subscribe to SEC and Big Ten and like all of the different conferences in order to get the all 22, and that's not something I'm doing right now. So like I saw the separation on the tape, and I was like, well, that has to be there for some reason. He's just like legitimately a third of his production came off of 9 routes. So, like there's plenty of film to go off of there, and he had consistent separation. I kind of put 2 and 2 together, but I totally get it. Like when you're not watching the entire route, it's hard to see that it's based off speed. Mason, before we do anything else, though, my bad. I skipped over you for your higher. Give me your higher than consensus and lower than consensus.
My hires, like I was mentioning earlier, Luke McCaffrey. Like I said, he had a couple of combine drills where he did way better. And another thing a lot of people don't figure or really factor in is that this was only his second season playing as a wide receiver. Luke McCaffrey is traditionally a quarterback, and he's made a lot of great strides, and definitely in his second season. You can see the improvement throughout the season. And then another thing is I've been looking up his like his realistic landing spots, and almost every single one is saying the Rams or the 49ers. And both those may not sound the most ideal because he could be locked behind, Puka or Cup or Debo and Ayuk if Ayuk actually does stay with the Niners. But I just think after 1 year, I mean, Debo could be gone because of salary cap issues. So as much as it hurts to say, he could be. And then, I mean, I think Cup's on his way out as well. And just, if Rams, they're pretty good at drafting these late picks. So if they like him and take him, I think it's a good fit. And, they know what they're doing sometimes there. So I don't know. I'm just a big fan of him. It could just be some Christian McCaffrey bias, but
I was gonna say it feels a little homery here, just based off that last name. But let's hear your lower than consensus.
My lower than consensus is JJ McCarthy. I'm not a fan of him. I don't think there's I mean, he could prove me wrong, but like I said, he didn't throw the ball enough in college to really give me a true impression to where I'm willing to drop a first round pick. I think there's a bunch of other guys I'd rather take around where he's getting drafted in super flex leagues. He could prove me wrong though if he goes to the right situation. You never know. If he goes to a team, like if he goes to Minnesota or something like that, and Minnesota moves on from Kirk Cousins, obviously I'm going to be a little higher on him. But I don't know. I haven't seen enough from JJ. And like you guys said, he did have a good combine, but I'm not a believer in JJ.
Yeah, Evan, what do you think about that? You were talking pretty high of him a minute ago.
JJ's rising. He's rising in my ranks. He is. He's a lot bigger than I thought he was going to be, and that's what the combine really showed too. And he does have the arm talent. I saw him sling a ball, deep down the field. That's all I needed to really see. I wasn't sure if he was even capable of doing something like that because he didn't throw as much in college. But happy to see that, and give me a little bit size relief, especially if he does go in the top 4 and Chargers get the first non-quarterback off the board. That would be fantastic. But we'll see how that goes in the actual NFL draft.
Right. It'll be interesting. Right now, PFF has him as the 28th overall on the big board. Obviously, not too many teams that need a quarterback that have a draft pick at that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see where it ends up going in the early second. There's going to be plenty of teams that need a quarterback. I could see him going early second to a team like the Giants that are already starting to question Daniel Jones, and rightfully so. I do think it would kind of be like a Daniel Jones 2.0, slight upgrade, but we'll see. We'll see where he lands. I'm sure he'll move up or down boards drastically after that. This is going to send us into our next segment, though. I am pumped to talk about just some NFL news. We've been evaluating rookies for so many episodes now. I'm pumped to just talk general NFL news. Just to kick it off, we got the franchise tag. Deadline came up midweek this week. We have Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, Justin. You know what? I'm going to screw that up. Justin M. from the Ravens, D tackle. Josh Allen, Brian Burns, L'Jarius Sneed, Jalen Johnson, Antoine Winfield, and Kyle Duggar. So we only have 2 offensive franchise tags here. Of them, Michael Pittman and T. Higgins. Michael Pittman and T. Higgins both on the same team going into their 5th year here. What do you guys think about 2024? Who will have the better season? I'm trying to get a read here. Evan, go ahead, kick it. Is the residential T. Higgins hater?
Yeah, I know you want my take on T. Higgins over here. Anytime he comes up, you guys
for
just hear me talk about him, because it's all
please.
just good things coming out of my mouth. Nope, not that I think he's going to have a bad year, especially because they're not bringing Tyler Boyd back, if I'm not mistaken. But I do like the idea of having what's his name, Andre Izovias. as the true wide receiver 3 without having to share that time with Tyler Boyd if he's out. Not sure if he is out, though. Need some confirmation on that. But I think Michael Pittman's going to have a better year than T. Higgins, without a doubt.
Okay.
Because he's the actual wide receiver 1 on his team.
Boyd is testing free agency. It's not completely out of the picture that he doesn't go back to the Bengals, but it's more than likely he's going to go somewhere else.
I will say I think Charlie Jones is more likely the wide receiver 3, but this is like, doesn't matter much.
Okay.
Yeah, I honestly think that Bengals might spend a decent, day 1 or day 2 pick on a wide receiver just because they kind of have the mindset T. Higgins might be gone after this year. Unless they continue to franchise tag him, I think he's going to want a big contract. Last year was rough for him with injuries, and then Burrow obviously missing most of the season. And even when Burrow was healthy, he wasn't playing his best. I think T. Higgins has a much better season than he did last year, and then he's gone after that. As far as Michael Pittman, I want him to be a lifelong Colt for Anthony Richardson's sake. I mean, because it's just him and Josh Downs really there, and I'm a little higher on Josh Downs, I think, than most people are. But I mean, Michael Pittman's the true the alpha wide receiver 1 in that wide receiver room, and I think without him, Anthony Richardson's value definitely goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Lee?
I would agree. Pittman probably has a higher floor, especially with PPR, but I think Higgins has a higher ceiling just in that offense with that quarterback. Pittman doesn't, or so far, he hasn't caught a lot of touchdowns. He does not get a lot of red zone targets. A run-first quarterback with Jonathan Taylor, at full speed back there. I mean, how many end zone targets is he going to get? I do expect the Colts to add another wide receiver. I think it's more likely the Colts add an early wide receiver than the Bengals. They do have a lot of other issues to address as well. Just to comment, with these two guys, Mike Evans signing a 2-year extension in Tampa. Talk about the wide receiver class just shrinking up. What looked to be a really, really good class free agent wise is not. A guy like Curtis Samuel is going to get paid somewhere. There's who's the top wide receiver available now?
Calvin Ridley.
Is Mike Williams might get released too.
Williams 100% should be a cap cut. It hasn't happened yet, but right now the Chargers have the second most second least cap space is what I should say. 19 million over the dead cap or over the salary cap, and Mike Williams has the second. It's Keenan Allen and Mike Williams as the highest cap hits on their roster. Mike Williams, I believe it'd be roughly at least $20 million by cutting him. And obviously coming off of a big injury, they got to move on.
Rumor has it he's already leaving his apartment. Yeah.
You're the Chargers fan, so I wouldn't know about his apartment situation.
I played Warzone with a dude. Me and him actually played video games together. It's kind of crazy.
You played?
If I'm not mistaken, they're the top two wide receiver cap hits.
He streams
in the league,
too.
Not just on the Chargers. The top 2 wide receiver cap hits for 24 in the NFL, which is unsustainable.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Keenan Allen at least puts up the production to warrant it. But even he's getting older and older. So I have Higgins. I don't think it's a surprise to many of you here. I go Higgins over Pittman here. Of the 4 years they both they entered the NFL in the same year, 2020. The only year where Pittman finished higher than Higgins is this past season. In that past season, T. Higgins was injured frequently. I get that is definitely a knock on him. He is much more injury prone than Pittman is, and Pittman is a PPR monster. So if you're looking for a floor, go ahead and get Pittman. But if you're looking for a ceiling, which you need to do to get championships, go out and get Higgins. He's not going to be valued as high as Pittman. I think you could get him at least a round or 2 later this year in redraft. And then on top of it, in overall fantasy finish, Higgins, wide receiver 28, 24, 18, and 51. Pittman, 79, 17, 20, and 13. In points per game, Higgins, 36, 12, 12, 40 with a very injury-riddled 2023. And then Pittman, wide receiver 70, 23, 20, and 15. It's got that average finish that's a little bit higher, but if you're looking again for a guy that is going to give you some week winning weeks, go and get Higgins. And it's going to cost you, I think, at this point, after an injury riddled season, a 5th-round pick. I think that's where he ends up
Just to
falling in
let you know,
redraft.
Michael Pittman did beat out T. Higgins in 2021.
He did not.
Yeah, he did. He finished the year better.
Oh, in points per game. Higgins was wide receiver 12, where Pittman is wide receiver 20.
Oh, I thought you were talking about fantasy finishes. Okay.
Points per game, yeah. It was still even close with let's see, Higgins missed. Well, so he finished as wide receiver 24, whereas Pittman finished as wide receiver 17. Let's see here. Pittman played 17 games in 2021, where Higgins played 14. You give Higgins another 3 games, I think that he catches up to that pace. We'll see. I mean, obviously
Higgins only missed 2 games in 2021.
in 21 he played 14 games, in 21 Pittman played 17, so he missed at least 3.
I mean, I'm looking at his numbers on sleep.
And that's without me diving into the game log and saying how many games he missed, or how many games he played with a very low percentage or snap percentage. Regardless, let's move on from that. It's just, I think Higgins has the higher upside. I think Pittman has the higher floor. I think that in this offense, especially, there's no Joe Mixon right now. They don't have a running back at all. They don't have a tight end to speak of. There's going to be 2 guys that they target consistently. And on top of it, the Bengals love throwing receivers. I'll touch on that in a quick second. I got that coming up here, but we got some NFL news coming up. Right. I can't resist. Let me get to the wide receiver targets here. Cincinnati Bengals, 6th in the league, 65.5% of their targets went to the wide receiver position. That was with T. Higgins missing a handful of games in 2023. They love throwing to the wide receiver. They don't have any targets elsewhere. They do have cap space to bring in some guys at 48.5, but I do think overall T. Higgins is going to see the volume and is going to and is an athletic enough of a wide receiver to make that volume count. All right. You got me talking about T. Higgins. I got all red in the face here. I digress. Let's move on.
T. Higgins is always a sensitive subject around here.
It is, man. Me and you have had lifelong T. Higgins bets.
Yeah.
I get fired up. Yeah. Let's go. So something we can all talk some smack about. We got Russell Wilson news here. Broncos cutting Russell Wilson after not finding a trade partner. Nobody wants him. The Broncos taking on $85 million in dead cap this year. That is insane. It has to go down as an all-time worst trade in the NFL. On top of it, even the Seahawks, they made the most of their picks, which just weighs even more so into the Russell Wilson hate here. But who do you think Russell Wilson will sign with, and who do you think is the best landing spot for Russell Wilson? Lee, I'm going to kick it to you first.
So I mean, this has been a very acrimonious split up. Them coming to him, asking him to take less money or not take off the injury guarantee midseason, which is something you never really hear. I think he signed with the Raiders so he can play against the Broncos twice a year. Their defense was much improved. Assuming Devontae Adams is still there, they're going to be a run-first offense. So I think he would fit better in a run-first situation. I could see him being the starting quarterback for the Raiders for the next year or two. It's one of those things where there's a lot of options. There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, but it kind of makes sense. It's not a huge move to jump from Denver to Vegas. And having that opportunity to stick it to Sean Payton, who we can tell there's no love lost there, that may be too good to turn down. I think the best possible situation would be it's tough between 2 teams, but I would say the Vikings, if they let Kirk Cousins go, you get to play with the best wide receiver in football. that they've got a ready built offense where he could step in and keep a pretty high level of production.
Yeah. I think for all of our best quarterback landing spots, may it be free agency or draft, it's always the Vikings. They
Yeah.
just got tons of
Justin Jefferson.
young wide receivers. Oh, Mason's shaking his head no, though. I want to hear this take. What do you got?
I mean, they've already said that they aren't going after him, but I think for Russell Wilson, his ideal landing spot would be the Steelers. And he's got weapons there between Deontay Pickens and Pat Fryermuth, and he's got some nice running backs to help him out in the backfield, whether it's running or passing it to them. Tomlin's a great coach. He can definitely maybe fix some of Russell Wilson's little bad tendencies, coach him out of that. I mean, Russell Wilson is old. You can't completely change him at this point. But, just make some plays that are better designed for Russell Wilson than Sean Payton could. But I don't know. I feel like that's it. I mean, the Steelers are a good team. They just don't have a quarterback, and
They're a good team, but for a quarterback, for fantasy, you think that Steelers is a better landing spot than the Vikings?
yeah, I honestly think so. I mean, Matt Canada. I mean, Arthur Smith is there, so who knows now? But
It's
you made the
bold.
case of the positive Tomlin.
I was waiting for the dunk opportunity, but you already brought it up at least. Arthur Smith is there. He is here to ruin things. On top of it, Kenny Pickett has not shown any hope of being a fantasy contributor in the past 2 years. In comparison to the Kevin O'Connell system, and then on top of like Kirk Cousins, I would say overall, when we're just evaluating NFL talent, maybe towards the 12-14 spot as far as quarterbacks go. Fantastic thrower of the ball, has no mobility though. And just as far as fantasy goes, I really don't think there's a lot of love to be gained in Pittsburgh. They're also talking about trading Deontay Johnson, been very frequently in the news. So he is straight up cooking. All right, Lee's cooking. I guess Lee's already hit us with his take on this one, so I still have to kick it to Evan. As much as I'd like to send it to the chef in the kitchen here.
I mean, let's keep Russ in the AFC West. I think you're right, Dan. Oakland, why not? Or who's that? Dan or Lee that said that? Lee might have said
Lee
that.
said that.
Vegas. If it goes to Oakland,
the AFC West. Yeah, I want them to destroy the Raiders from the inside out. That would be fantastic. But yeah, I honestly don't know. I'm struggling to think, like, is he in that bridge status where he's going to bridge quarterback, like help young QB who's just not quite ready to start yet. So, there's a lot of people saying that the JJ needs to take a year underneath a vet, or some other quarterbacks need to take a year under a vet. That is where I see him as being like kind of like a 1 or 2 year deal, quick, underpaid, and then out.
Yeah. And honestly, this might be a little bit of bias from Bill Belichick being there for so long, but I got the Patriots. I could just totally see them making a terrible decision, settling with an older quarterback, paying him too much, just like they do all their wide receivers there. I have him going to the Patriots personally. But we'll move on here. We got
Real quick,
Sorry,
I feel like all three of you guys are really down on Russell, and I'm not ready to give up on him as an asset.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions this past year. A lot of turmoil around him. Those aren't bad numbers. He's not going to be a game-winning. Well, I mean, he's great at last-minute drives, but he's not going to be a guy to carry a team at this point. But I think he could be an above-average game manager. With all the quarterbacks we saw start last year, I think he is a viable upgrade for a lot of these teams, and I don't think it's a terrible decision at a discount that they'll be getting him for.
I'd rather have Gardner Minshew.
Too many interceptions. It's hard to win.
I'll take, in a real NFL standpoint, I will definitely take Russ over Gardner Minshew. And now the contract is not tied to him. Because he's cut, they can sign him for whatever he agrees to. I think realistically, he was due, $35.4 million this year.
Much.
That's insane. And he was due that or more in the next 5 years after this. That's why no one's trading for him. Even if you eat the dead cat or like whatever the contract is this year, you're going to have a lot more due. That's why no one's paying for him. It's still insane to me that the Broncos were like, we're so moved on from you that we were willing to eat $85 million in dead cap. That is detrimental to an NFL team. That is over 1/3 of I'm sorry, 1/4 of the NFL cap space. It's about 1/4. I think it's at 250 something right now. So that's
crazy.
absolutely nuts. But if they're willing to move on, they're willing to move on. The next team who signs him will probably get him, in my opinion, for closer to $15 million or so. And I think that the Patriots can afford that with their cap space being at $88 million, $88.7 million.
I guarantee, I'll go ahead and make a guarantee, and not even knowing who it's going to be or where he's going to land, Russell Wilson will have a better season than whoever the starting quarterback is for the Denver Broncos in 24.
Interesting. Without even knowing who it's going to be, let's go, baby. I'm writing it down.
I would take it. I would take that too. I'll side with you, Dan.
You're on my side? Okay. That's a first. Evan's on my side.
We're not talking about T. Higgins, so of course.
Don't think I forget. I got our other random.
Yeah.
Too. Tyler Lockett, you got under 650. I got over 650. We got random post-it notes around this office. Let me kick it to somebody else though. But while I write this down, Justin Fields. The majority, according to the Athletics, Jeff Howe, reports say that the majority opinion is that the Bears would receive a second or third round pick in exchange for Justin Fields. I think that is atrociously low. I think he's at least worth a late round first or a couple of seconds. I will kick it to somebody else though here. With all signs pointing to the Bears trading Justin Fields, what team do you think he will be traded to? And what team do you want him to be traded to for fantasy value? Mason, I'm going to kick it to you first.
Falcons for both. I mean, I heard some rumors that they are pretty deep into trade talks for Justin Fields. I saw a couple of reports on that. I'm not 100% sure how accurate they are, but it does look like they are pretty deep into that. And I just think there's a lot of weapons there. I mean, between Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, I think that's good for him. And I could see Atlanta, drafting a wide receiver with a 109, getting some more help there. And I really think he would have some solid weapons. New coaching, obviously, no more Arthur Smith. So I think it would be good value for not just him, but for all those weapons around him. We could finally see Kyle Pitts get back to what he did in his rookie year.
Okay. Evan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Falcons are definitely the obvious one too, and it makes a lot of sense from, there's going to be some changes in Atlanta, obviously, with Arthur Smith leaving. But I think that those changes would be having a guy like Justin Field makes it really like you could adjust to kind of a lot of different schemes with him. So I like it.
So, yeah, I mean, Atlanta definitely, kind of the echo. That seems like the obvious. But a lot of times in the NFL, the obvious doesn't actually come to fruition. Mm-hmm. There's got to be, I mean, just at a second or third round pick, I get it. You're going to have to pay him. But again, what was it? 56 quarterbacks started. I think it was a record or close to a record this past season. There's so many teams that are just in quarterback purgatory. Why wouldn't you? So I've changed my tune. I've thought about it a little bit. If it's a third round pick, and you probably get him at a little bit of a discount because the Bears are giving up on him. If you go ahead and re-sign him before the season, you probably get him a little below market. I want Washington to trade for him. I want to take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2. I want to give up hopefully our second, third round pick, which is like pick 99 or 100, and maybe throw in next year's third for Justin Fields. Adam Peters is supposed to be pretty solid with numbers. I lean, contract out the window. I think I take Justin Fields over Jaden Daniels as my quarterback, especially for the next season or two.
I completely agree with that. I think that Justin Fields is a more athletic QB. You got the Commanders specifically. They have 2 second-round picks at 36 and 40. Trade the Bears pick, the number 40 overall. Go get a guy that can perform at at quarterback, and then a wide receiver who is supposedly a generational talent. I stand by it, but I'm just saying, like, go get Marvin Harrison Jr., have Terry McLaurin, throw Jahan Dotson in the slot, and then run Justin Fields and Brian Robinson all over the field. Good luck stopping that, that RPO between either Marvin Harrison Jr. or Terry McLaurin, and then Justin Fields and Brian Robinson. I'm not even that high on Brian Robinson as an overall NFL talent, but the guy, he's got some size. He can buck. He's got more pass catching ability than I anticipated, and he really showed that in this last season. Where I thought that they would lean on Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson showed that he could get it done. I think that overall that would be a great draft strategy, especially again if you're asking for a second overall pick from the Bears. Give them their second round pick back. Go take the 40th overall. That's completely fine. You guys get the second and the 36th. You guys could add both Marvin Harrison Jr. and let's say, another solid wide receiver talent. Lad McConkey could make it that far. You guys could have 4 solid wide receiver options.
Gotta take a left tackle with that second round pick.
You lost me. You lost me at Fields over Jaden Daniels. You lost me.
I value them the same, honestly. Like they're
as
pretty
a fantasy asset or as an NFL QB, Evan.
I guess you really have to see more. So there's a lot of like question marks behind Jaden Daniels because he hasn't been on an NFL field yet. But I'd rather have the potential for what he could be. I'd rather invest in the potential what he could be than what we already know Fields is.
So that's how low you think of Fields then?
Yeah.
Because we have seen him on an NFL field, and he has produced insanely for fantasy.
Justin Fields over Jaden Daniels. You want to take that bet for 24 fantasy overall points?
Depends on where he goes. After the draft. Talk to me after the draft.
We don't know where Fields is going either, though. That we're both
blind. I guess. But so I guess it's fair. All right, I'll take it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Get it on the board. Let's fucking go. Sorry, radio. Bleep that last part out. Whoops. That's the first. But let's go. All right, on to the next one here. We got Kirk Cousins. And then after this, I want to definitely bring up Saquon Barkley. But we got Kirk Cousins up next. Pro Football Talks, Mike Florio reports that very credible indications say that Kirk Cousins is considering signing with the Falcons. If Kirk Cousins lands with the Falcons, where do you see, I'll say Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Let's get one for each. Let's hit this one quick, though. Where do you think Drake London will finish in 2024? Where do you think Kyle Pitts will finish in 2024?
Drake London's a wide receiver 1 with Kirk Cousins. He's a top 12 wide receiver.
Not quite for me. I got him in top 20.
I think London and Pitts are both top 12 at their position for sure, with Kirk Cousins being there. I mean, it just the passing volume will 100% be there with Kirk Cousins on your team.
I agree with both of your takes there. I will say, though, that saying Kyle Pitts is a top 12 tight end is much less risky than saying Drake London is a top 12
I'd
wide
say Pitts is far more reasonable.
I'm going to force your hand, Mason. Do you think that Kyle Pitts will be a top 6 tight end if Kirk Cousins lands in Atlanta?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Laporta 100% in front, Kelsey for sure. I'd even say Hawkinson, even without Kirk Cousins. I think Hawkinson
with the injury, the ACL injury late season.
I mean, is he gonna miss time? I haven't looked too much into it.
He has to miss time.
It was late in the
This
season.
is like the last game of the regular season, I think, or second to last, maybe.
I think Kincaid's also gonna have a good season. He put up decent numbers in his rookie season, but that was with Dawson Knox also taken away a little bit. So I do think that Kincaid will be a little better. I'm at 4. Oh shoot, I just missed a name. Mark Andrews, of course. Yeah, I almost forgot him.
McBride, T. McBee.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Lee.
Kittle.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
All right.
No, Kittle's kind of on his way out. As sad as I am to say,
you don't think he's going to finish better than Kyle Pitts next year?
But depends.
That's the question. I like that. I like that, Evan. Put it on him.
I mean, if Kirk Cousins is there, I could say Pitts could be different or could definitely be better. But, I mean, it's all up to Kyle Shanahan if he decides to actually use Kittle next season. I mean, the talent Kittle's, in my opinion, is more talented, but it's all about the play calling of Kyle Shanahan, whatever he's doing
You're
over there.
absolutely right, though. Like, I mean, obviously, you know more than anybody else, but like Kittle is only used in the games where there is a wide receiver missing. If
Mhm.
if Ayuk is down, if Samuel is down, I am hitting the over so quick on any of Kittle's prop bets. But when he is not, when all players are healthy, there's just too many players to go around to confidently bet on Kittle. So I agree with you there. If I am trying to talk, especially dynasty, obviously because of age, but even in redraft, I'd be willing to trade Kittle for Pitts for a more consistent playmaker. Is like we're talking if Cousins is the QB here. If it's a rookie QB, it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah,
But
no.
Mason, what you got?
I mean, honestly, Kittle's one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. And with the addition of Christian McCaffrey being able to replace the kind of production that Kittle has seen in the years before, Shanahan is using Kittle a lot more as a blocker, and it makes sense. But for fantasy points, it sucks.
Yeah.
I would just say real quick that I will if Cousins goes there, I would take Kyle Pitts right at 5 or 6. I'd take him as a top 6 tight end. I feel like this would be his true breakout year. Anybody on the show, can you name the wide receiver 2 in Atlanta?
Oh
Is
my
it
God.
Matt Collins still?
No, Matt Collins is
The
gone.
draft is coming up. The draft is coming up. I do expect them to add a wide receiver in the draft.
No, it is actually insane. I was listening about this recently. I can't even recall it. Now I just heard a podcast talking about it. Zacchaeus is gone. Hollins is gone. Let's see who do they even have in the past?
Scotty Miller.
Oh, yeah.
He's gone. Who is it, Lee?
I don't know either. I can't say the name either without looking it up.
You're saying literally anybody. Somebody comment. Throw it in the comments who the wide receiver 2 is.
It's Kyle Pitts.
We ain't got-
I mean, Kyle Pitts is going to be the second
Basically.
leading target getter.
For sure. All right, let's move on. Also, we're gonna go a little bit long here. We're probably not gonna quite get to free agent predictions. We're gonna leave that coming up here next week. By Wednesday, when we have our podcast on Wednesday, we will have bare minimum free agency impacts. We'll touch on those. We'll talk more about free agents and give you some predictions for the guys who haven't landed yet. But for now, let's keep on talking NFL news. This has been fun. Dalton Schultz re-signed after getting a, honestly, in my opinion, disrespectful contract last year after what he did in Dallas. He proves it. He shows he's worth it. 3-year, $36 million re-signed by the Texans, $23.5 million guaranteed. That's not too shabby, especially at the tight end position. That is 2 years that he's definitely going to be on the Texans. Maybe there's an out in the 3rd year, but I think he's going to be there long term. Do you consider Dalton Schultz right now a buy, sell, or hold in Dynasty?
He's a hold for me. I think his value could definitely go up a little more. I don't think that it can necessarily go down unless he faces bad injuries or the Texans decide to really bring in a big target. I think Nico and Tank Dell are the guys of the future for Houston, and Stroud obviously showed great signs in year 1. I think Schultz can really have a great season at some point. I mean, he might have some inconsistent years if he decides to stay with the Texans for the rest of his career, but I do think there's a lot of upside with playing with him, just with the CJ Stroud talent.
Yeah, this is purely draft dependent for me. If they had even another wide receiver instead of a tight end too, it's going to be tough. So he's a hold for now. Sell if they add a wide receiver.
Okay. Really quickly before I kick it to you, let's say that they add a trying to think. So they let go of Noah Brown. He's going to be a free agent this year. Some other notable wide receivers at free agents. Let's say they add Tyler Boyd. So you got Nico Collins as the outside. Tank Dell's kind of viewed as a slot wide receiver, but he played far more snaps at the outside position than he did at slot. Let's say they add Tyler Boyd, perfectly average wide receiver from the slot. Do you think now with that addition that Dalton Schultz is a buy, sell, or hold?
He'd still be a hold for me there. I would need more than there would have to be somebody added either in the draft or like a bigger name than Tyler Boyd for me to sell him.
Okay, Lee.
If we add, then I might reconsider. But and tight end's gotten deeper, but I don't mind him as a buy. I would definitely hold him. I don't see selling him right now. He's a safety blanket for offense that we've seen. Especially with them being able to keep the coordinator for another season, they like to throw the ball. And we'll see what happens if they bring in a big name running back. I feel like that would be the more likely free agent ad or through the draft, somebody to replace Singletary and really be the RB1 with Pierce as your your spell back. But the security of the contract, he wasn't healthy all season long. So when he was healthy, he's a guy who got those red zone targets was the biggest thing. He got red zone targets from a quarterback who should only improve. Even if we have a sophomore slump, he's going to be there for the next few years. I like Dalton Schultz quite a bit, and I wouldn't mind buying a few more shares.
Yeah, I'm personally at a buy right now as well. Right now, the Texans had the 11th most tight end targets. That's not insane, but that's no slouch. It's coming from a pass heavy system. That's not what I expected this year, but it's pass heavy for sure. And then on top of it, Dalton Schultz had the 38 most fantasy points while their team was in the red zone. So whether that might be from targets, touchdowns, whatever it may be, most is pretty insane. And that is with Taysom Hill being mixed in there. So like Taysom Hill is, I don't think has too many years left of doing what he's doing right now for the
Yeah,
Saints.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Dalton Schultz is a worthy red zone target. He's in a pass heavy offense with a quarterback like Lee is saying that is ascending. So I'm happy to buy on Dalton Schultz right now. I don't think even in tight end premium leagues that you will have to spend more than a middle second round pick, and you can get a guy that is consistently produced for your team. It's really all you're asking for from the tight end position. Um, for the radio broadcast, that is all we're going to do tonight. Thank you for joining us. Please make sure to check out the Stadium Rant YouTube channel. We got plenty of more content. We're going to be talking about some more NFL news here for the next at least 5 to 10 minutes. So make sure you join us and stay up to date. So we're going to kick it right off, though, back into it. Alexander Madison, he's been released. Bottom line, would you guys rather have a mid third round pick with Madison being able to choose his home or take that third round pick instead of Alexander Madison? I'm going to kick it to Mason first.
I'd rather take the third round pick upside because I think Madison, if he can even find an offense that will give him a good role, he's not going to be the starting running back. There's no scenario where I think that he would be a starting running back. The only thing I could think of maybe as a chance is Panthers, but I'd rather just roll with Miles Sanders, who had a disappointing year, obviously, or Hubbard. I think they're better options than Madison. So
Yeah.
I'd rather take the third round pick for the upside of it. I think Madison is going to be a guy you have on your bench the entire year and are waiting for an injury before you even think about throwing him in.
Right. And they even named Hubbard the starter already. So, Evan, I saw you shaking your head a bunch, though. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in this draft class, I would much rather have the third. Yeah, Madison. I mean, he's competing with a lot of other guys here. We haven't even gotten into the free agent running back list, but there's a lot of big names here. So I don't see where he would fit in as a starter.
Fair enough, Lee.
So yeah, and real quick, should have got this in before we got off the radio in Atlanta, but Austin Mack and Josh Ali are the only two wide receivers under contract in Atlanta. So go look up those highlights, you guys. Yeah.
Oh man, you were talking. That's right. We were talking Atlanta. Yeah. That is pretty crazy. Oh man.
I'd go a step further. I would take a fourth round pick over Madison. I think he's a dead asset at this point, and at least you do have a dart throw with any draft pick.
Yeah, I would also take the third just because, Madison's only going to be 26 when he enters the season. However, most running backs hit their peak by 24, 25 years old. With Madison already showing that he can't get it done as the lead back in a very lucrative situation in Minnesota. I'll definitely also lead the mid third round pick. Really quick, just say a number. If it was a let's say the 401, everyone give your pick. Mason first. 401 or
Oh,
Madison?
401. I'd probably 401. I'd probably take the 401 just because there's upside, and I mean, like we've seen the past couple years, every year there's usually one or two guys that comes out of the fourth round that end up being solid assets. There's usually one or two in the third as well. So I'd rather take the pick because, like I said, Madison, you might only have he's going to be an RB2 wherever he goes, and I just don't see him lasting in the league for more than a year or two.
Yeah,
All right.
third round is where I value like a guy like Damian Pierce, like mid third round. So definitely not. Definitely.
I'm in a league with you where you literally took him in the mid first round.
I know, and he was great. He won me the champ that year, so I needed him that year. It was
I don't
purely
think he
based
won
on
you
him.
the champ. I think it was your dominant 6 wide receivers.
I mean, I needed a running back, and he was. I
You
didn't have
did. I
one,
think
I
you
had a
won it
hole in
without
my.
Damian Pierce. Anyways, Lee, who do you got? Mid or first 401 or Alexander Madison?
So I'm already going with the fourth pick. I already said that. Heck, at this point, I would probably take 8 to 10 fab for him if I could trade him for a little bit of fab.
That's funny enough. I will be the only person here that takes Madison over the 401.
Oh my
When you
god!
start getting to the fourth round pick, it is just like it's more misses than hits.
Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton over there. Come on.
I mean, Joe Milton can throw the ball a country mile, but he's basically Uncle Rico. You know, like, there's no accuracy here. He's just stepping back and throwing that steak right at Napoleon's face, knocking him off that bike. That's what y'all are here for the extra hours. I'm happy that Lee at least caught that reference here.
I was thinking Jeff George as an actual NFL player, but yeah, Uncle Rico works too.
Uncle Rico, man, whatever works. That's what you hear for the extra hours here on YouTube.
Yeah.
But here, let's kick it to Will Levis. I thought was the next interesting point we got. Will Levis reports the Titans still believe in Will Levis as their starting quarterback. Do you think Will Levis is a buy, sell, or hold in Dynasty? Let's say they add at least a middling wide receiver. One of the guys, not to spoil next week's, but Noah Brown, I think, will go to the Titans. I think that's that kind of wide receiver, too, that they've been looking for in Westbrook Akine. Let's say they have Hopkins, Noah Brown, and then Okonkwo and help me, guys. Who's the running back? Spears. Tajay Spears. If he is, if that's the starting lineup right there, do you think Will Levis right now is a buy, sell, or hold in Dynasty?
What's the price? Set a price. Set a pick.
Let's say a middle second round.
Oh my god! Buy. I'll buy. I'd buy him.
Okay, buy. That seems too early. You put me on the spot. I'll say 112.
That's close. That's close.
I mean, I have more faith in Will Levis than I do like Bo Nix or Michael Penix or JJ, to be honest.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Would you rather Will Levis or JJ McCarthy?
Will Levis.
I personally would take Will Levis just based off of what he's shown us so far and the willingness to. He had the highest percentage of targets at 20 plus yards. Even if he's not hitting at the highest rate, which it wasn't too bad last season. I believe, I can fact check this, but I believe he had a higher completion percentage downfield than Josh Allen did last year. I will take Will Levis just based off of the fact if we're comparing it to late round quarterbacks. But if we're talking, a lot of people aren't taking Trey Benson in the first round. If Trey Benson's there at 112, I'm happily taking him over Will Levis personally. Just to buy me some time on this fact check, and I'm going to kick it over to Lee here.
So one, I want to say that I definitely think the Titans are going to get a higher level wide receiver than Noah Brown. They got $75 million in cap space. I think they're like fourth in the most cap space. I think a different Brown. I think Hollywood Brown would be the guy to really unlock Will Levis, and I'm holding. I'm holding. If I can buy him cheap, mid second round pick, even an early second round in a super flex. Starting quarterbacks are invaluable. He's going to get quite a bit of runway. They're in a full rebuild at this point, or at least a partial rebuild. So yeah, give me. I got quite a few Will Levis shares already, and I'm holding. I'm holding when he's there.
Yeah, honestly, when I look at it with quarterbacks that I think you can buy at a low price right now that have any promise of a future, I think Will Levis is really one of those guys that I think, and yeah, he did have some accuracy issues, but he's a rookie. Give him a year or two. I mean, Josh Allen was awful his first couple of years, and a lot of people forget that is these guys, it's a totally different adjustment to the NFL than it is in college. And so I say, I mean, give him at least one more year, and I think he's got a lot of upside. I mean, they could, if he has a rough second season, they could be moving on from him, but I don't think he'll. I think he'll show enough promise that the Titans will be sticking with him.
Yeah, and just to touch on the point earlier, what I said earlier, Will Levis 38.6% on completion percentage downfield, 20 plus yards downfield. That was more than Josh Allen last year. Also above names like Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, and Patrick Mahomes. So, it's just talking about downfield targets, but that's pretty insane for his rookie season with just DeAndre Hopkins, a hurt/bust pick in Treylon Burks, and nobody else. So, and those are just on 20 plus yards. We have Kyle Phillips, known as such a downfield threat. But yeah, Josh Allen, he has guys like Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, even Patrick Mahomes. When you have Andy Reid scheming open these downfield threats like Rashee Rice and Sky Moore, although they might not be crazy, obviously Travis Kelce there too. It's just like insane to see those numbers compared stat to stat. I really do think that Will Levis has upside. As much as I hated on him last year for the whole Bananarama thing and what else,
the mayo and the coffee.
Oh man, it's just bad. It's just some like 400-pound Middle Western. I don't know.
That's like some Fear Factor stuff right there.
Right. It's like he's not. No one's daring him to do this.
No,
he's choosing to. He wakes up and eats a banana with the peel.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like courage. That sounds like courage to me.
Actually, you're wrong.
Just peel it, brother. Have you not tried that? Just peel it.
The mayo and coffee did start from a dare. He did say someone dared him to do it, and then he thought it was actually really good. So that's his
Mason, this is why we pay you the big money, man. I would have had no idea.
I just know the random stuff. Like
for a bet, I could do mayonnaise and coffee for a bet. But just choosing my everyday.
So you realize how good it is.
For a bet, I'm never eating a banana with the peel on.
Till you realize how good it is.
How much? I mean, there's got to be a dollar figure that you would eat that whole damn banana without even thinking about peeling. Come on.
Like for real. Like you're saying, you have to eat the entire
banana. $1,000 cash right now.
Done.
No,
I would not even think about it.
I don't think you know how hard it's going to be to
eat. Give me a Benjamin. Give me a Benjamin on me in that thing.
What? Oh my God. Y'all are ridiculous. You know what? I will pay you $100 to eat an entire banana.
Done. I'll go get one right now and do it right now for $100.
I actually have a banana.
I have bananas right here. I will do it for $100.
What better moment? Evan, me, Mason, and Lee will chip in $33.33.
No. Lee said he wants to eat a banana with me.
That's easy money.
Lee, you want to eat the banana?
For $100, sure.
Mason and Evan, are you down to Venmo Lee right now? $33.33.
No, I want to eat the banana. I want the Benjamin.
I want to make this happen right now.
Let me
I
eat the
don't-
I
banana.
don't care who
Let
does
me
it.
eat it.
Any three of you can do it. I'm not fucking doing it. We're extra hours. I can say fucking. We're not. I'm not fucking doing it. Lee, or Evan, I will pay anybody who they want to. At least half of the share here. I'll pay $50 if one of you guys eat a whole banana as we talk some more free agent and fantasy rant here.
Done.
Who wants it?
If me and Lee both do it, will you give 150 to each?
I will give 50. Mason, you want to go the other 50?
No, that's easy money, man.
It's easy money.
A whole banana? Okay. How about
Yeah.
I will pay one of you guys $50. I'll do $50 each. So it's $100 total. If you both eat a banana, but both of you have to finish it. If either one of you don't finish the banana, you have to send me $50.
Either one. That's dependent.
That
on
is
I trust
reversed.
Lee. I trust Lee. Lee can eat the banana. I'd take that.
All right, $50 to whoever wants to eat a banana with the
Done.
peel out.
See, we were at 100 before. We've
Yeah.
dropped it.
Yeah. This lower.
Anyone?
A little bit. I mean,
Yo, Mason and Evan, kick in here. You want to throw 25?
I want to eat the banana. I'm trying to make money here.
I literally just tonight drove my car from work. All of the lights came on. It was like brake, engine, check the battery. I drove it into the fucking garage, and after I tried to restart it, it would not start it. So I got some shit coming my way. If any of you boys still want to throw in an extra 50, Mason, you just said your buy-in for fantasy is $4,000 or something. Throw $50 here to help a brother out to watch our boys eat a whole banana with the peel on. Is this not worth it? Let's start a GoFundMe.
I've got a rack full of bananas just waiting. They're just waiting right there.
Would you rather? Here's the question: would you rather a ripe one or a more rotten one? I think I'm leaning towards the rotten side, like a couple spots, couple brown spots.
It'll be
I want
mushier.
ripe. I don't like it when it's mushy anyway. When it gets mushy, I can't. It's got to go.
It's just going down. I mean, the
right,
more ripe one seems a
I
little.
will give $100 to whoever eats a banana with the peel on. I don't give a shit who it is. Go and eat a banana. We will talk a little bit more fantasy.
Are we going to do this right now, or do we want to wait until we're?
Yeah, because I'm going to go take a bite after this if we're not doing it right now, and I'm going to just do a quick assessment.
I will do $100 to whoever eats a whole banana right now. If you
All
don't,
right.
let's go. Lee is
doing
the
it.
kicker. Let's go. Oh man, bourbon's one hell of a drug.
Too funny.
All right, let's kick it to our next piece of news here. I mean, we got to talk now. So Darren Waller has reported that he may not play 2024. There was a report coming out saying that he is considering retirement. After that, very recently, a report came out saying that he will commit to the 2024 season. After that report, Darren Waller said that he has not made a decision either way. If Darren Waller and Evan in our main dynasty league,
I know
you are a Darren Waller manager,
and I don't have any backup other than Isaiah.
I know you don't. So this is the perfect question for you. I'm sending it directly to you.
Yeah.
If Waller commits for 2024, what is the lowest draft pick you would trade him away for?
I trade him away for a late third.
Oh man, he looks like he's enjoying it. I'm sorry, Evan. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but like he doesn't even look phased.
No, that's what I'm saying. Get one with brown spots. You're in the clear. I'm telling you, the green banana. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it as much.
Oh man, I shouldn't have agreed to this. Evan, what do you think though? Give us some fantasy takes.
I would. The lowest I would go is the 312. I wouldn't do it for a fourth, but I would do it for the 312.
312. I'm about to send you a 312 for Darren Waller. No, I'm just kidding. Mason, would you the lowest draft pick you would take for Darren Waller?
I mean, 1 year that offense was pretty bad last year. I mean, Saquon is more than likely gone, so it's going to get even worse, in my opinion. I would sell him for a late third, probably around where Evan was saying, maybe 312. I'd be okay with. But on another note, if you have Darren Waller, go trade for Bellinger, please. I mean, he showed a lot of promise before Waller got there, And I mean, I think with
I've
how
been trying to buy Bellinger in my
What
league.
is going on? He's just chopping down.
I've been
I can't focus, bro. I can't. This is not
that banana
even
didn't
like
stand
a
a chance.
problem
That
right
banana
now.
did not stand a chance.
I should have probably tried to chomp a banana with peel on before I made this bet. But like, bro, you're looking like you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
yeah. I
Very
can't imagine
good.
it would be terrible. Like it's just the peel.
Orange peel is much worse. I have eaten. Some
Oh
orange
yeah,
peel.
yeah. I don't know if I would do an orange peel or grapefruit peel or anything.
I mean,
like
you
that.
got a couple of kids, so consider this my like what's it called? Child support. Consider this my child support.
I appreciate
Where
it.
would you rank like
I got
watermelon
you,
Ryan?
brother.
Where'd you rank watermelon Ryan on that banana scale?
Worse
I
than-
haven't
worse than
eaten
banana.
any outer peels.
Mm.
How many have you guys eaten?
I eat
Number
kiwi
one.
peel. Kiwi peels aren't bad sometimes. And actually nutrition. So it's weird because they're a little hairy, but yeah.
They're super hairy. That sounds like okay. We're 20 minutes deep, so Atlanta, for real, Atlanta radio station. If you are still listening, please tune off your radio
Yeah.
station.
Please.
That sounds like dipping some hairy balls in your mouth, bro. Like,
No.
you going for that, Evan? You down with that kiwi hair?
Well, now that you say it like that, I'm probably never gonna eat the peel again. But you know,
Why would you do it in the first place without pay?
because I actually watched a video talking about the
$100
nutritional
to do it.
value of the kiwi skin, and I tried it, and I was like, actually, I kind of hardly notice it. So, but
That is wild.
it's not something. It's not a common occurrence.
All right, so I would say the least I would trade Darren Waller away for would be a mid-third round pick. It's barely away from what you're talking about right now. I just do see him if he goes into the season healthy, if he's able to maintain a healthy season, which isn't likely, but even let's say he gets 12, 14 games, I do think that he would end up being top 8 in tight end points per game here. Mason, you're cracking up, bro. You got something?
No, I just sent a picture of Lee going to town on that.
Yes, dude. Thank you.
It's
Save
fine,
that.
I'll-
Send that in the Slack channel because I am at least making that Lee's profile picture for when we do the wheel.
Wheel of
next year.
misfortune. The wheel.
At least I can get a return on investment here.
This turned on me only last few bites.
Oh man, I missed the wheel of misfortune. I can't wait for that to come back. I can't wait.
Oh man, we got to find out some punny name for Lee and these bananas for the wheel of misfortune next season.
Yeah.
I may should have washed it first.
What happened
That's
to your name change over here?
Oh my God! Don't even do that.
I figure it might get me in trouble. Tyler probably send me a message.
Yeah,
We'll say
I mean, if
it's,
there's a time to do it, it's when the radio station tunes off.
True
We'll
that.
say it's Richard Berger, but the
Yeah.
nickname for
Mhm.
Richard.
Rick.
Rick.
Rick Berger.
I've screamed the F word a few times here, so I don't know why I'm weirded out by saying Dick on air right now. But Dick Burger, Lee Cook, cooking up them burgers. All right, let's go with something a little bit more pertinent. Zach Ertz signed a 1-year, $5 million contract with the Commanders. Who do you think will have a higher fantasy finish in 2024? Zach Ertz or Cole Turner?
Zach Ertz, 100%. I mean, I don't even think that's a question, Dan. To be
Cole
honest,
Turner, baby. Don't underrate Cole Turner. Third
Yeah,
round draft
yeah.
pick, he was hurt. Cole Turner is going to be the guy. Cole Turner.
Yeah,
I think
I'm here with you,
Ertz has still got it for 1 year. For 1 year, yeah, he's still got it. Would I trade him for Cole Turner? Yeah, absolutely.
Would you trade? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Long-term dynasty for sure.
Yeah.
That's the move. All right, Lee, I already hit you in the private chat. Honestly, hit us in the comments. If anybody wants to help me out on this $100 payment, feel free. We're gonna start a GoFundMe for Lee's Bananarama. But if not, dude, props to you because I don't think I could do that. Even in I'm on like my 4th or 5th straight up bourbon here. I don't think I could just choke down a whole banana with peel.
You definitely should have washed it though. Yeah, I totally feel that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some chemical taste. The last 3 or 4 bites were a little rough, but I got to
Also,
definitely.
he didn't even chase it down. Like he didn't even
Straight.
no nothing.
Yeah,
He just
yeah.
did it, and he did it with a smile on his face. I'm almost not even mad about sending it. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't even like bananas like unpeeled, but I would still do that for $100, no problem.
Ow, we got a like from that. Got a like from the lead. I
Hey!
love it.
I'm not even 100% sure what this means, but Magilla Gorilla.
Magilla
Bananas, I'm sure.
Who's that stud over there? Richard Baker? Huh?
Hey,
what a good looking guy over there.
Welcome,
great
Dick
name,
Baker.
great hairline. Hope that
Mhm.
passes down to whoever your son may be. You know,
I heard he's a good golfer over there too. I don't know.
honestly, he can beat you.
Yeah,
I've seen you golf.
That's true.
All right. We'll kick it with our last piece of free agent news here. Jaguars head coach Doug Peterson said that treating Travis Etienne as a workhorse back is not the recipe he prefers. We saw Tank Bigsby last year. Do you guys think that Tank Bigsby will be the RB2? Do you think that Travis Etienne will end up with the same workload that he did last year? Or do you think they bring in either a free agent or rookie running back into the mix to help out with this workload? Evan, I'm going to kick to you first. Give Lee some time to digest.
That's going down a little funny.
I hope you at least shit some banana stems.
Dude, the bananas have taken over. The bananas have taken over. I love it. I love it. But all right. So looking back at this, so we're talking about Zach Ertz or Travis Etienne. Okay, so I love me some Tank Bigsby still. I believe that there's potential. Every single time he touched the ball at the beginning of the season, it was a turnover. So I thought he was cursed, to be honest, at first. But he ended up getting some touchdowns on him and didn't put up like somewhat decent numbers towards the end of the season. Definitely needs some work, but I think they bring in another guy, and I do think that he becomes obsolete at that point. I think they're blowing smoke up our butts right now. They are.
I think so too. Just to hit on it quick. But Mason?
Yeah, I think that's always been the goal, to bring in another back to complement Etienne. I mean, they drafted Tank Bigsby. Lee, you don't look too good over there, by the way. But
the man is not sitting well.
It's not. It's really not.
But no, I think they're definitely going to bring someone in, whether it's through rookie or through a vet, just because, I mean, Tank Bigsby looks like a total bust. So I definitely think there will be a little more competition for Etienne.
Right, and just to name a few, we got Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Alexander Madison, Gus Edwards, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, AJ Dillon, Antonio Gibson, even Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would all name above right now talents over Tank Bigsby. It felt like every time Tank Bigsby touched the ball, he was either like losing yards, gaining 1 to 3 yards, or fumbling the ball. I don't have any faith in him right now. I do think that they add a name, even if it
the banana go. Banana go.
We're gonna have to have like like the NFL combine, the banana combine between you and Will Levis. Who can choke down a banana quicker? Lee Cook or Will Levis?
Honestly, depending on the stakes, I might enter that race too.
So. This time, I am not paying anybody $100. I have learned my lesson. I really did not think that was going to go that way, but again,
exactly like Will Levis just took it like a champ too. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
we got Shrek. He's got money on the chef. Shrek, at least if you got money on it, I can at least double that. We can go in together. Hopefully, at least 50-50 here. So, props to you, Lee. Do you got a take here on if Tank Bigsby will be the RB2 in Jacksonville, or if they'll bring in another back?
He was a 3rd round pick, right?
Second.
I feel like with the draft capital, I feel like with the draft capital, yeah, he's probably going to be the backup.
Yeah, I agree with that overall. Even if they bring in a middling back, Like I just named a bunch of dudes. Even beyond that, we got Zeke, Deontay Foreman, Kareem Hunt. If J.K. Dobbins, Rico, or Cam Akers rebound absurdly quick from their injuries,
I lied. Pick number 88, round three. Pick number 88.
I mean, so still day 2, but like round 3 is not going to kill them. It's not a heavy contract on their cap hit. And let me check that out really quick. Jacksonville right now has 24.5 mil in cap space. And, we're still early in the offseason. They're going to make some changes if need be. So I do think that they'll add another running back if they're serious about taking Etienne's workload off the plate. If not, I think that they'll have Etienne going at the same workload he's been at. All right, next challenge for Lee is the OG Banana Sprite Challenge. I don't even know what that is. What is an OG Banana Sprite Challenge?
Drink a 2-liter Sprite or something.
Yeah, it's you drink a liter and then I believe you eat a banana and it's supposed to like make you throw up or something like that.
Yeah. Do I get to peel the banana? That would be my question there.
That's a good question. We'll be back next week with the answer. More food challenges for Lee Cook here on the Fantasy Rant podcast. Tackled it for 100. He got a Franklin out of this. So I'm sending that over your way. You hit me with the Venmo here. So props to you, Lee, taking it down. Another episode of Fantasy Rant in the books. Another $100 in Lee's bank account. Join us next week for more fun and free agent talk. Have a good week, everybody.